Hi, you guys, and welcome back to another episode of A Tailor-Made Life, where every conversation is one step closer to designing the life that God has for you. I'm your host, Taylor Renee, and as always, I am so excited to have you back here with me today. Let's just get right into it, shall we? I think last episode we were discussing feelings of being overwhelmed and navigating all the noise that comes with work. And so this past week, there's been a topic going up and down my Twitter, and it's been this debate between being inspired versus discipline. And which one do you really need? Which one is more important, right? And usually I'm so anti Twitter and the internet and all the things. I think it's one of the main reasons that we have so much corruption in our world today. But the more that I thought about the conversation, I figured it would be good to talk about. So at first I was indifferent because I feel like you need a little bit of both, right? If you want to be successful. I think inspiration and discipline, I don't think it's a one and the other thing, but ultimately discipline is more reliable for success. So if I had to choose one, I'd choose discipline over inspiration. For one, motivation is fleeting. Motivation, inspiration, all of those things are fleeting feelings. You feel motivated one day and then the next day you feel like nothing, right? You feel inspired by something that you see on TV and then the next day you forget all about it. So motivation is fleeting. It's up one day and down the next. Discipline, however, is consistent, right? It's quite literally the consistency of doing things that you don't want to do, regardless of how you feel about it. The internet has a lot to do with this, in my opinion. We just feel like we have to be inspired to do everything. You know what I'm saying? Like if there's no inspiration there, I don't really want to do it because, I just don't feel motivated. I just don't feel inspired. It's like, okay, like that, that shouldn't be the end all be all. That shouldn't be the only thing deterring you away from doing something, is because you don't feel like you're inspired. Now, if you have a creative job or you're a songwriter or you're, in a creative field, then that's a little different, right? You kind of rely on inspiration to draw the best material. But for everyday tasks or everyday things, going to the gym or eating healthy or goals and things that we've set for ourselves, those things aren't based on if we feel motivated to do it or not, or if we feel inspired to do it. You're not going to get anywhere with that, right? There's like this rose-colored glasses that you're looking at, that you're looking through, and it creates a false sense of progress and happiness, right? But what happens when that fades out? What happens when it's a random Tuesday morning and the job, the relationship, the routine, all of those things, they just feel mundane? What happens then when you no longer have any inspiration, when you're no longer motivated to do X, Y, and Z? Are you just not going to do it because you don't feel motivated or you don't feel inspired? This is where a lot of us fall short. And I don't want to totally discredit being motivated, right? Because obviously that has its benefits, and we'll talk about that too. But when that fades out, that's when discipline have to come in. That's when you have to stand up within yourself and have some discipline, right? And stand up within yourself and make a decision to do whatever it is that you said you were going to do. So doing things when you don't feel like it, regardless of your emotions, regardless of whatever you're feeling in the moment, that's what separates you from the rest. That's what builds the consistency, it builds the confidence, and it builds real results. Women, and just people in general, but women specifically, we are emotionally driven, right? We are constantly wanting to be fulfilled or wanting to be stimulated through our emotions. We're emotional beings. Men are too, but women specifically, I think a lot of our emotions tend to drive what we do and what we don't do. And to be honest with you, what I've noticed having those same emotions and allowing that to be at the forefront all the time is that it clouds judgment and it leads to inconsistency. Because again, feelings are up and down. They aren't consistent. They aren't concrete. And so I'm not saying that feelings and emotions and all of those things are bad, of course not, but they can't lead everything. They can't be in the front all the time. They can't be the baseline for every decision that you make, right? Because you're not going to make it very far being emotionally driven all the time with every single thing. Like every decision, every task is led by what you're feeling in that moment. No. Only people who do that are kids. I'll give you an example, right? At work, of course. When I first started working this job specifically, I was excited, right? Everything's new. I'm making so many connections. I'm meeting so many new people. Everything just feels electrifying. I'm feeling motivated, right? I'm feeling inspired. Every time I mess something up, I'm motivated to get back up. Or every time I do something good, I'm inspired to keep going. And it was great. First 6 months, first year and a half, I'm flying high. But as time went on, even with the schedule that I do have, it's kind of hectic or all over the place. Things do start to become mundane. It's kind of predictable. I know what my job is now. I know how to do it. And so I'll be honest and say that now I'm riding on discipline more than I am inspiration. I'm not necessarily inspired every day or motivated every time I mess up. No. All of that stuff is kind of faded out, and now I'm running on discipline. Now I'm running on, hey, this is what I'm going to do regardless. It doesn't matter how I feel. I could wake up and my leg be broke. It wouldn't matter. You know what I'm saying? Well, that's a little dramatic, but you get what I'm saying. Like it doesn't matter how I feel now. I'm not jumping out of bed because I'm just oh my God, so excited to go to work. Sometimes I am, don't get me wrong. But most of the time I'm getting up out of routine. I'm getting up out of habit. I'm getting up out of discipline that I have for myself and for the fact that I know that I need to get this done. That is what yields success. That is what has caused me to get into a sense of a groove with work, not because I'm inspired or motivated by it. And so my inspiration and my motivation then do not determine how well I do my job. The discipline does. But think about working out. Think about in the beginning, you start your New Year's resolutions, right? And everybody is just so motivated, so inspired to work out. And it's January. You're working out the first 3 weeks. You're like, oh man, I'm losing weight. I'm losing weight. I'm eating good. I'm doing my meal prep. I'm eating well. And it's the first 3 weeks and you've lost some weight. So now you're feeling extra motivated, right? Now you extra inspired. Oh man, I done lost 3 pounds. Oh my gosh. Okay, cool. And then by mid-February, you've hit a plateau. Now you're not losing any more weight. You realize that all the weight that you were losing beforehand was water weight. So you really didn't lose nothing. Right? You hit a plateau, the scale isn't moving, the food is nasty, your body hurts every day, you no longer inspire, nobody else is making workout content, so you don't have anybody to lean on, none of your friends is doing it anymore. And so now what are you going to do? This is where the discipline comes in. This is where the discipline, you start to do things out of habit, right? The motivation fades. The inspiration fades. Now it's time for the discipline to step in. And so I think now my question anyways is like something that I've had to answer is how do you become disciplined? How do you stay disciplined? How do you, it sounds like the right thing to do, but how do you do it? And it looks different for everybody. Obviously, it's not going to be the same cookie cutter answer for every single person, but I can give you some little tidbits on how I've navigated it and how I've figured out what works, what could work. And the first step is making the decision, right? Making the decision is a powerful first step because in reality, it is what leads all of your decisions. If you think about it, Your mind leads your body, right? It's as simple as that. Once you have made the decision every day, you constantly make the decision, your body has to follow. It doesn't have a choice. Your mind and your body, it's all attached. I can decide I want to move my hands like this, and my body has to follow it, has to follow those commands, right? And so make the decision first. That doesn't require any work. It's all mental. Make the decision. Whatever it is, whatever task, whatever the job is, I make a decision every day to get up and do my job and do it to the best of my ability. I make that up in my mind, in the bed, before I even wake up. I've already set the parameters. I've already set the goal for today in my mind. So my body naturally is going to follow. Next thing, and this may sound a little harsh, detach from your feelings. Now, for my empaths and my women out there, I know that sounds impossible, but I kid you not, anybody who I've talked to that has success in whatever field, they don't talk about their feelings that much, right? Not because they don't have them or not because they're not important, but because they've detached from them. When it's time to get things done, when it's time to be disciplined, when it's time to work, feelings go out of the window. I think I'm being a bit dramatic about it so that you can kind of get the concept, but what I'm saying is your feelings are a distraction from execution, and it's as simple as that. If you focus on your discomfort, if you focus your mind on your negative feelings, then of course you are going to stop. You are going to underperform. You're not going to be disciplined. That's not discipline. That is motivation, inspiration. That's moving off of feeling and emotion. That's not discipline. Discipline is doing it at 5 a.m. in the morning. Discipline is working all day, coming home and going to the gym because you told yourself you were going to do that. That's discipline. It doesn't matter how you feel, right? And so in order to make that pathway easier for you, in order to clear that path, detach yourself from I'll give you another example. I like to run. And so when I go run, I typically don't have any headphones on. I don't listen to any music. I do it raw. I don't put anything on. I just allow myself to run. The only three things that I think about when I'm running, when my mind is what's keeping me going, I keep prayer at the forefront. I'm either in prayer about something, I'm either thinking about a neutral thought, maybe an outfit choice that I'm going to wear, I have plans later on tonight, let me figure out what I'm going to, who am I going with, who am I inviting, and then motivation. Nothing else. Why? Because I've decided that all the other thoughts are distractions. When I think about how tired I am, or when I think about when my body hurts, all of those things are distractions. If I allow those feelings to keep festering in my mind, guess what? My mind is going to tell my body to stop. It's simple, right? And so when you're thinking about work and you're thinking about discipline, it's the same concept. If you keep festering on the negativity and the negative thoughts, your mind is going to tell your body to stop. And so I've detached, during that time, I detached myself from those negative feelings. Now, feelings of motivation and positivity, of course, I invite those in. I focus myself on those. Oh, you got this. Oh, this is what life is. Oh, I'm telling myself all of these great things, right? But as soon as something negative starts to creep up, I gaslight myself into thinking something totally different. I ignore it. I detach myself from it. That is what discipline is. Another thing, and this is what I love. This is probably my favorite thing. This is the last little tidbit. And it's a reward system. Now, would I go on that same run, depending on how I'm feeling that day, because, you don't want to abuse your reward system. You don't want to have a reward system every day when you don't need it. So with that same run, if I'm having a bad day or if I'm already not feeling it, I know when I'm not feeling it, right? You know when you're not feeling it, when it's just not your day. Okay, but you still have to get it done because that's what discipline is, right? Okay, I really don't want to do this today, but I'm going to do it anyways. I'm going to reward myself at the end. So I give myself two things, whether it's food or a nap or doom scrolling or a movie that I want to watch or, hell, a glass of wine, whatever it is that I want at the end of this run, I focus my mind on it, right? And so I give myself something to look forward to, a sense of external motivation that doesn't interfere with my discipline, you know? But making the decision, detaching yourself from negative feelings, and then setting up a reward system will get you well on your way to being a bit more disciplined. And if you really want to dive even deeper into it and ask yourself, where does God play into all of this? When you look into the Bible, you start to notice what God says about spiritual order or living an ordered life, right? He says that we are led by the Spirit. And so the first step is making that decision in your mind, right? Allowing yourself to be influenced or to put the Spirit first is you living in spiritual order. Does that make sense? And so inviting the Holy Spirit in the first place is going to be, the other key to creating some type of discipline. And again, motivation is crucial. Being inspired is important. It kickstarts the engine, right? But what keeps the car going in the cold, in the rain, and sun is going to be discipline. So the next time you don't feel inspired or don't feel motivated to do something, do it anyway. And your future self will thank you. That's all I really have for you guys. Thank you so much for listening. Keep commenting, keep liking, keep subscribing. I, again, have been enjoying our conversations. I've been enjoying just talking to you guys, getting to know you. So yeah, till next time. Bye.